I just want to ask, in the application form, it asks for evidence of the practice's indemnity. Now, are you specifically talking about the practice's indemnity, or, say, for example, as a prescriber, he would have his own indemnity insurance? Can that be given as evidence?
This is a really helpful question, and I'm really glad you asked it. And this goes back to the, if I'd known 8 weeks ago, would I know now? So when we were originally envisaging this, we thought you'd have a group of practices, they'd come together and they'd employ a group of pharmacists, and they'd be a designated pharmacist in a designated practice, and then they'd be covered by the group insurance in that practice. That was our thinking. I've had to move significantly on my thinking, and we've moved partners along with us. So we are open to a much wider range of models. And I recognise that that poses lots of challenges. So if you have our pharmacist working in 2 practices, how does that work? I've also been really surprised at some of the indications I've had from practices about the potential cost of adding a pharmacist to their group indemnity. Now, I'm not close to that. I've never taken out group indemnity because I don't work in a GP practice. But it seems that some of the medical defence providers are looking at the same sort of cost for a pharmacist as they are for a GP, which is a surprise, because if you have a prescribing nurse or advanced nurse practitioner, I don't think they're anywhere near that expensive. So I would like to have a dialogue really around how are you insured at the moment? What is, what we want to make sure, so the bottom line is we want to make sure that pharmacists are covered, so that if something doesn't go as well as it could have, there is support for them financially, legally, to make sure that they are not personally taken, lose money. So that's a challenge, really. How are you insured now, and what should we be asking for that makes sure that the clinical pharmacists are supported?
Do we have a delegate here who's from the Pharmacy Defence Association? Because we hoped. So you probably put some light on.
Yes, I think each practitioner should have their own indemnity insurance to cover them in what they're doing.
So the advantage of your own indemnity insurance is that you get your own legal protection, your own barrister if the practice turned against you, as it were.
And the cost isn't.
And the cost is a fraction, isn't it? I'm not talking about your company, but all the companies, you're probably talking a few £100, whereas through a general practice, you're talking £6,000 to £8,000.
Yeah. So
one route might be the pharmacists getting their own insurance separately and coming to some arrangement on payment with the surgery. Is it? So Sue, I'll just take. So have you finished? Sorry, is that? Yeah. So Sue, I'll just quickly then. What's your question about insurance?
There's a question. So I'm a hospital pharmacist by background. I now work in primary care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this microphone's working.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
The question is, in the hospital, we were all encouraged to have our own indemnity insurance, but there is also indemnity insurance within the hospital, and I would feel that that's how it should be set up in the practices, because there could be a claim against the practice as a whole, and as your employer they should support you, but then you're always advised to have your own, just in case it's all gone a bit wrong, I guess. So, I think it's a bit more complex than the pharmacists just having their own insurance.
So there was a lady, somebody had the hand up here about are you going to say that? Okay. And the lady behind you, Sue?
I'm going to follow on from that point. Are we not automatically creating a barrier if you have separate insurance to the rest of the practice? Okay. Therefore, you're not actually considered within that team of group insurance. So there's that little thing of, but you're okay because you're separate to us.
Right.
So that would be my fear.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. And there's a keen hand gone up over here, presumably on the insurance debate, hopefully.
Hi, Amanda Rawlings from Newconshire at CCG. I'm leading some work locally in Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, and what we've actually found is that the different practices have different insurance models. So in some practices, each of the GPs has their own insurance, and in some practices they have group insurance. So there are already different models within the GP practices as to how they have their indemnity.
And are there any people who are practice managers here who can answer this question about why practice nurses have lower insurance? Okay. So Rachel, your practice is in Bradford, so
Hi,
you
I'm
employ a range
Rachel
of people.
Thompson and I'm a practice manager in Bradford, and I think we're just getting to the nitty-gritty of the problem, which, well, it's not a problem, but the reality that general practices are small corner shop businesses. They all run it, you know, differently, very differently. You know, some will have a group insurance, some will expect staff to insure their, you know, themselves. There is just no uniformity and no, what's the word, requirement for them to do so.
No.
So it's going to be a whole changed way of thinking.
Yeah.
But I think this is a very positive thing which may start that ball rolling.
Yeah. So do you know why, I mean, for your practice, for instance, your nurse, do you have prescribing nurses?
No.
Okay. Anybody have prescribing nurses? Because how come, is your insurance cheap
I'm
for those
Bernadette
people?
Conway, I'm a practice manager in Rotherham. Actually, insurers now are assessing risk, and we've just had to start paying for our advanced nurse practitioners with MPS. And I think all insurers will insure against risk, so they need to know the risk. I think it's very important that you inform your insurers exactly what these people are doing, and if they are treat, diagnose, treat, medicate, they're now put in a new group and you have to insure them separately. You can insure them as part of your group, but we have to pay. That payment from MPS for a full-time advanced nurse practitioner is just short of £3,000 for our practice.